you're gonna start wasting your money, and that is not good in college because you probably don't have much of it.
What's up, everyone?
It's Dani.
And Nick.
Today we're gonna be talking about the 5 things we didn't expect when going to college. As you might know from some of our other videos, we both attended the University of Alabama, and that is where we graduated. However, Nicholas went there all 4 years, and I was a transfer student, and I actually attended 4 colleges in 4 years. So my experience was very different than others, but we wanted to talk about, in general, the 5 things that we didn't expect when going from high school to college, and that totally different experience. So please give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel down below. Now let's get into it. The first thing that we didn't expect when going to college was making friends and how difficult it really would be. You really have to get out of your comfort zone, like completely, to try to make friends. But when you're a freshman, it's definitely a lot easier than any other time during your college experience, because as a freshman, you are surrounded by other people who are in the same exact spot as you, where no one really knows each other. Everyone's trying to make friends and meet new people. It's a little bit different if you go to a smaller school that might be near your hometown, where a lot of your high school friends and people are going. But for us, we both moved to different states, so for us to make friends was very difficult because we didn't know many people going to our school.
Like, a lot of people that I saw, or not a lot, but a certain amount of people, like, they were at Alabama with friends that, like, they went to high school with. They were either from Tuscaloosa or, like, from Birmingham, and they were there with their Alabama friends. And obviously they already had relationships, and they were clearly making other friends too, but they had that baseline friendship with some people. For us, I went there basically knowing no one, you knew no one, so we had to find friends in a completely new setting.
So our advice to you guys going to college for the first time, or maybe transferring, because I also dealt with making friends as a transfer student, is to try to get involved, and not just get involved because you could say you joined a club but like stood in the corner. That's not gonna help you. My number 1 tip would be to, when you're first moving into your dorm, talk to the people on your floor, get to know everyone, and then from there, you kind of meet people in different clubs, classes, organizations that you're joining, and then so do your floor mates. So then if you're friends with the people who live next to you, but you're in different clubs, then you kind of get to meet multiple people from all different things, because they're going to introduce you to their friends, and you're going to introduce them to your friends. So that's kind of how you make a bunch of different friend groups in the beginning.
And then, like, obviously once you've made all those different friend groups, you're gonna, like, obviously gravitate one way versus the other, whether that's a club, whether that's like sports, intramurals, whatever it might be, fraternity, sorority. You're gonna gravitate towards one of those, and those are probably gonna end up being your better friends. Not that you're not gonna be friends with the other people, but you'll just, like, meet a lot more people that way. And I think that really gets back to, like, get out of your comfort zone. I'm a pretty outgoing person, but it can be really hard when you're in a new place to just be like, oh, hey, like, my name's Nick, and, like, introduce yourself, and, like, do you want to hang out or whatever. That can kind of be hard and difficult sometimes, but you have to do it. But everybody's in the same position as a freshman, so just think of that whenever you get nervous.
The one thing that I made a point to do every single time was to make at least one friend or acquaintance in a class. That way, when you went home, if you missed a class or had a question about anything or needed help with something, you could always, like, reference to that person in that class and say, hey, I missed class, what did I miss? Can you help me with this homework? Let's study together. So that to me was really important. And they might not be your best friend, and you might not go out with them or hang out with them all the time, but at least you were able to help each other when you needed something.
And if you're going to be at the same school for all 4 years like I was, especially in your major classes, you're gonna, like, be in those classes and start to, like, really recognize people, even if you've never spoken to them. Like, oh wow, they're an econ major too, and I see them in, like, all my classes. You're probably gonna have a similar schedule, and that happens as you get older and you're more in those major classes. But I mean, you can start to notice that, like, as a freshman, and that's how Danielle and I met, was through somebody that I knew in class. So it can happen.
That kind of leads into point number 2 of what we didn't expect when going to college, is taking classes that you might not want to take. I thought I mean, for the most part, that you go to college and you pick your major and you take those classes that you're really interested in, but that's not necessarily true. You might have to take prerequisites or those basic classes. Like I still had to take science in college and I was not interested in science, but you have to take it to graduate. And then another point is that even if you're taking a class that has to do with your major, for me, I was marketing, which was in the business school. I had to take calculus and accounting and classes like that, so that did have to do with my major, but I still did not enjoy those classes. So just don't go in with the thought of, I get to do all fun and games because I'm studying something that I'm interested in. You definitely have to take classes that aren't totally your thing.
Yeah, you're very dependent on like the curriculum of whatever the teacher decides. I mean, it could be like, this is gonna be my favorite class in my major and everything is gonna be great, and then the teacher decides, no, this is how we're gonna approach this subject in this class, and you might not like that, or it could be great and you love it, and it just depends. Like some of my favorite classes actually weren't even major classes. It was like, I was in like the honors program, and it was these like weird little classes, like UH classes that just like were my favorite, and just like kind of, you know, random.
Yeah, what you just said about like the teacher kind of picking the curriculum is really important, because like we could both be taking accounting but with different teachers, and then it's so different, and it's sometimes like not that fair. I had a friend in accounting and I was in accounting, and like she failed because her teacher was so bad at the structure of the class and teaching them, where I succeeded in the class because I had a good teacher who was willing to sit down and really teach us the curriculum and do good on the test so we could pass. So teachers are everything, but I would say, like, don't hold yourself back because of a teacher. Like, if you have...
Not an excuse.
Yeah, like...
It can't be an excuse, but like in high school, I feel like teachers more or less like kind of have to follow a really baseline curriculum, and they don't get to make as many of their own decisions. In college, I had, like Danielle said, there's classes where you can be in accounting, they have multiple choice tests, and you have to like write everything out by hand. Like it can be totally different. It's not fair, but that's just the way it is, and you better just get used to it and just take it in stride. And that brings us to number 3. One of the things is when you're going to college, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive, all this stuff, tuition is blank a year, and you're like, that's a huge number. But the thing is, it's actually gonna be a lot more expensive than that, because tuition is like the baseline. That doesn't include living expenses, food, textbooks, which, as I'm sure you probably can guess, everyone talks about is like crazy expensive, and just like all the little expense things that come up just like living in college, and you're gonna be living on your own now. So that is, I wouldn't say it's like nearly as much as tuition, but it's a lot, and it really adds up.
Well, even if, like Nicholas was saying, that living and food is not included, a lot of schools, as a freshman, it is included, your dorm and your meal plan. However, you don't expect to go out of that. And yes, the dining hall is probably fine, but you're gonna wanna eat other things, and your friends are gonna wanna go out. So other food costs, even if it is in your tuition bundle, you're gonna have other food costs. You're gonna wanna do other things. You're gonna wanna go to the bar and have a drink. And if you're in a sorority or fraternity and they have these theme parties, you're gonna have to buy outfits for that. Just all these costs that aren't included in tuition that you need to keep in mind, because college is very expensive, and we did expect that, and I'm sure you do too, but there's a lot more expenses than what you see on that paper that the college is handing to you.
And another thing that is a good point is like freshman year, they like at Alabama, they included a lot of stuff. So actually tuition for, I know me, went down my sophomore year because I didn't have to do the meal plan. They didn't put all these like little things that they force all the freshmen to do. You kind of get to choose, but
your money overall, the money you were spending was probably the same, but your tuition was lower, but you were then paying rent and buying groceries and things like that.
Right.
So that kind of leads into number 4 about your peers wanting to go out all the time. I did not expect people to go out every single day of the week, and if they have tests and homework and whatever other obligations, they didn't care. They were going out to parties and stuff, and I just thought that was pretty crazy. Like for me, yes, I enjoyed being social, but to me, I was there for school, so I wanted to make sure I succeeded and did good in school. So if I had a test, I wasn't going out the night before, and that's how we really got along, because we have the same views where our friends were wanting to go out all the time.
The cool thing about college is you really are now the person in charge of your decisions. Like, you can choose to go out the day of a test or the night of a test, before a test, whatever. You get to make those choices, and if that's what you want to do, that's totally fine. And if that's, and you can do well in however you decide to do it, that's okay too. But the problem is like, for us, we felt, at least I know I did early on, oh my gosh, like, I'm not fitting in because I don't want to go out with like some of my friends and do that stuff, and they like didn't understand and all this stuff. But like, I think it took me till now to realize, but like, that's fine. Like, if they're not gonna be your friends because you don't want to go out them and you need to stay home and like do what you're supposed to do, then you're not gonna be good friends anyways, and those aren't the type of people that last as friends. So
I agree.
I think it's just something that, looking back, it's like, why did I care so much about that? But at the time.
Lastly, the thing that we kind of have different views on this, but I really picked this point, was that I didn't expect to miss home, friends, and family as much as you really do. Nicholas was closer to home than I was. The first school I went to, Arizona State, was very far from home, and as soon as I got there, I was like, oh my goodness, culture shock. I miss my home, I miss my friends, I miss my family. And you just don't expect that as like a 18-year-old getting out of high school. You just want to be independent and do what you want, and you will miss them for sure.
I think it's really important to know yourself, like, before, I mean, the sooner you can like know who you are as a person and all that, the better. But particularly when it comes to like knowing what type of school to go to and all that type of stuff. And by that I mean, some people are totally okay going far away and they're gonna be okay with all that stuff. But a lot of people say, oh, I just wanna, like Danielle, I guess, like, I'm just gonna go and it doesn't matter. But like, she didn't think about like, oh, I'm probably gonna miss my parents. I'm kind of a homebody, I guess. So I knew that I didn't want to go far away because I was like, I like going home when I want to and all that type of stuff. So I was like, I need to be within an easy drive.
A big thing that I would like to put out there for people who are thinking about going like far away to college is think about what you have where you are at home and what you won't have when you get there. For me, that was having a car at home, and then I flew to Arizona and I wasn't gonna have a car there. So getting groceries, I lived in a dorm room, but you still wanna have groceries sometimes, and water bottles, anything that you could wanna buy at a store, you're gonna have to physically carry it or find a way to get it there. So, and none of my friends had cars there. So big things like that you just don't really think about when you're getting so excited and you're gonna go do something new and just be away from home. But things like that are really important to think about before you make the big move.
So those are 5 things that we didn't expect when going to college. But one other thing that I did want to talk about, and I think this is something everyone expects, I didn't want to include it in it, but is like trying to choose what major you're going to be. That's very, very difficult, and everybody I think knows going in, because that's what, like, I know all my friends talked about, is like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's really difficult to decide, but the thing that I know now is it's not the end of the world if you go in not knowing what you want to do. You're gonna find out at some point. I stress talking to as many people that like do what you think you might want to be doing, just to kind of like understand what it's gonna be like. But you're gonna be fine if you go in your freshman year and have no idea what you want to do. You're probably gonna have to take a lot of those general ed classes anyways, and you'll just find your way. Don't let that stress you out too much.
My opinion on that is that if you truly don't know what you want to do, to actually go in and not declare a major right away, because if you go in and say you want to be an econ major and you start taking even 1 or 2 of those econ classes in your freshman year, and then you decide to change to an art major where you don't need those econ classes, that could waste a couple of your credits, which in turn waste your money and time and could extend your graduation date. So if you go in not knowing and just take those basic classes, then you're not gonna waste any of your time and you can still graduate on time. So for me, that is really important. And yes, you can change your major, but it's a lot easier to change within the school, major school that you're in, rather than changing from, like I said, like business to art. Yeah, so they're very different. So just in the beginning, it's fine, but once you get into your second year, and especially your third year, you need to start figuring out what you need to do, or you need to take a break, a gap year or something to figure it out, because you're gonna start wasting your money, and that is not good in college because you probably don't have much of it. Well, that's it. Those are the things we didn't expect when going to college. If you would like a more detailed video on our experience in college, both my transfer experience and Nicholas's experience staying at the same school for 4 years at the University of Alabama. We can make a video about that as well, so let us know in the comments below. You can also leave any comments and questions that you have for us about college or anything that has to do with what we talked about in this video or any of our other videos. And that's gonna be it for today. We hope you guys enjoyed this video.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.